Welcome to the We're Good podcast, where we are celebrating the everyday brilliance of people working toward a more positive world. If you're looking for the good that's taking place around you, you've come to the right place. This episode of the We're Good podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Community Foundation for Northern Virginia, an organization building a region that works for everyone. With deep local roots and mission-driven collaboration, they are making more possible across Northern Virginia. Girls on the Run is an amazing program designed to inspire, build confidence, and encourage healthy habits for 3rd through 8th graders. Much more than a running club, Girls on the Run coaches combine skills on the track alongside dynamic lessons like star power, finding a happy pace, and stop and take a breather, helping young women develop life skills, something that's becoming even more important today than ever before. Today, you're going to hear some emotional memories about girls finding their inner strength and crossing the finish line. Let's lace up our running shoes and learn more on the We're Good podcast. Welcome back to the We're Good podcast. I'm Lee Ann Necessary Brownlee, your host. And here at the first of the year, we are kicking off our podcast with Mentoring Month and a very special guest today from a nonprofit that's near and dear to my heart, Girls on the Run of Northern Virginia. I'll tell you a little bit more about my part in a minute, but first we would like to introduce our guest today. Thank you so much for being here with us with Girls on the Run. Jaimi Taylor, you're the Director of Programming for Girls on the Run in Northern Virginia. Sammy Carr is the Communications Director, and we appreciate you joining us to kick off a very exciting podcast. This is our first Community Foundation for Northern Virginia partnership podcast. And when they said Girls on the Run was on the lineup, I was thrilled. So excited because I was a coach. My daughters were participants. They were participants first, then I joined as a coach, and then my husband was a running buddy. So it's a family affair. And we truly believe in this program and excited for you all to tell us about it today. Jaimi, you hear Girls on the Run. It is much more than a running club. It is an intentional program that has some great programming in it, some great lessons. Can you tell us why it is so intentional and it is data-based as to what you're teaching the girls in this program?
Yes, so we have an intentional curriculum that is teaching girls critical social emotional learning skills, skills that they need at this point in time in their lives to deal with the challenges that unfortunately often come up, right? It can be just, I'm having an argument with my BFF. How do I solve that argument, right? Body image, just all of these things that are dealing with their self-confidence, bringing their self-confidence down. And, a lot of people look at us and feel that we are just going out and running laps around a track, and that's not what we're doing. So the curriculum deals with a fun way of teaching these skills, right? So they don't even realize that they're learning the skills. We're teaching them how to use them through activities and games, and then turning that in a way that they can transform or carry that over into their daily lives, which is something that it builds in the resilience, right? So they learn how to use these skills, and they're having fun doing it. And I think that's what makes it stick, is that it's fun. Our coaches are intentionally trained in the curriculum, so they, even though we have a lot of teachers that are coaches, there are still certain aspects of our curriculum that we want everyone to start on the same page. So we're one of the few programs, youth programs, that actually trains their coaches, which again helps with the resilience of the program. And each lesson and practice, they are building their stamina to complete a 5K. So they are working on goal setting. There's also a component of a community impact project. So they are learning the importance of being parts of their communities and giving back to their communities. So yeah, there's a lot that's wrapped up into our seasons. And I think that's why we have people that come back season after season. We have volunteers that come back season after season, because it really is a transformative program.
It is so transformative. It was in our family. I do want to just right up off the bat, if people are listening and they don't know, we talk about that there's lessons and that it's fun learning. So Sammy, you've been a coach. I was a coach. Can you walk us through what is a day like? Because it can be a before school program. It can be an after school program. depending on the school. Can you give us an idea of what it's like for the coaches and for the girls who are getting ready to learn about Girls on the Run?
Yeah, so although really our lessons are designed to be presented in a similar manner, our coaches do have the authority to make the practice so it fits for them. They can kind of change the order that they do things so that if they have a really antsy group that needs to get going, they can do their laps a little earlier, then they need to sit down at the end and talk later on. Or if they have a quieter group, they might choose to talk first and kind of warm them up and then get going. But just a typical practice usually consists of first everyone gathering around, going over what you're going to learn that day. So every lesson has a topic, and all these topics build on each other. So what they're learning at one practice, they're going to pick up at the next practice, and then they're going to learn another skill on top of that. So it's all going into what we call their go-to toolbox, which is kind of a metaphor, but kind of a physical object too. They have journals, and inside their journals is 2 blank pages. And the goal after each lesson is to go back to that toolbox and add a word or a picture that kind of summarizes what they learned that day. So then at the end of the season, they can go back to their toolbox and look at all of these fun and really important tools that they learned to help them with any problems that come their way later on.
And I love that you call it a toolbox because Girls on the Run, GOTR, as you called it, so we'll let people know that is the acronym, is really about that they take things with them. This is not just something that they have right now. I have 2 daughters in their 20s. They still remember some of the lessons, and you take that with you into life. Why is that so important?
Well, really, like you said, they're still using it to this day.
Yeah.
So it's not just teaching them skills that they can use as kids, but it's teaching them how to speak up for themselves, how to kind of know what their beliefs are and how to keep that true to themselves and really just having the confidence to face any challenges that come their way and know that, okay, this is hard right now, but just like in Girls on the Run, when I was completing my 5K, it was hard then, but I got to the finish line. And it's just to remind them that no matter what challenges presented their way, even when it's hard, they can get through it.
Yeah. And you said that one of your favorite, you gotta share one of your favorite games. I just love this. I think this will really kind of paint a picture. You got to remember their ages are their 3rd grade through
Eighth
8th
grade.
grade.
Mhm.
Okay, so get that picture in your head, everyone. So they just finished a day or they're starting a day and they get to play this game.
My favorite game is Star Tag. So it's really kind of like freeze tag, but with a little bit more of a friendlier way of playing it. But really, all you do is you have a certain number of taggers, those are your freezers. Once you get frozen, you can then become unfrozen by any of your teammates who aren't a tagger. And you have to communicate. So you have to share with them how you'd like to become unfrozen. You can either give a high five, you can give a hug, you can give each other a compliment, but it's kind of meeting them where they're at and realizing that other people, they might prefer something different than you do. And it's showing that you respect them, you empathize with them, and you're meeting them where they are. So once you do whatever it is that person wants to do to become unfrozen, you can then both give a big star jump where you raise your arms and legs in the air and jump as high as you can, and then you are free to go about and play some more.
And it's contagious. I mean, once you start seeing these young women have fun, I just got to give a plug for coaching. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but you really get it. You might be having kind of a rough day and you see it and it just starts to build and they become close. They become teammates, right, Jaimi? And as you said, another part of the mentoring that's happening is 3rd graders and 8th graders. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit. There's mentoring that goes on within the young women themselves, within the girls.
Yeah, so our GOTR program is the elementary school program, so that's gonna be grades 3 through 5 or 6, depending on the county, and then our Heart and Soul program is, our middle school program, so that's gonna be 6 through 8 or 7 and 8, again, depending on the county, but, yeah, within each of those 2 components, you are usually having a range of girls, right? So 3rd, 6th, there can be a pretty big gap between a 3rd grader and a 6th grader, and so throughout the practices, there's definitely mentoring that is taking place with the girls. So our coaches are trying to build coach to girl relationships. So they're building bonds with the individuals that they're working with on the teams, but then there are also girl to girl relationships. So we're also trying to foster the relationships between the girls themselves, having them to recognize and understand that, each of us, we are all different, we are all unique and special. And we all have our individual star power. We like to use the story about at night when you look up in the sky and you see all of the millions of stars and they're all twinkling, they're all beautiful. They're all unique and different, but they're all special. And so that's kind of the analogy we like to use and spread with the girls, that we all have our individual star power and we are all unique and all special. And we're really trying to emphasize with that concept with them during the practices. So they are building their self-confidence and they are, able to see that they have limitless potential.
I love it. I love the image of the star power and the night sky. And I told both of you, and I'm sharing with our audience today, that the reason we got involved was we were new to the area. And thank goodness someone gave us a tip. My daughter was in 4th grade and new to the area, and they're like, "You've got to get her involved in Girls on the Run." So I was on there to sign up, and it was really transformative for her. Part of it was then she went into the cafeteria, or she went through the halls. She saw fellow Girls on the Run. She was building towards this 5K and developed lifelong friendships. One of many of the friends still friends today, but I think that's an important component. People don't realize that it's nice to have friends across ages when you're that age. So I thought that was a really important thing. This program is immensely popular. 89,000 participants in Northern Virginia since 2001. And you've just given some reasons why it's so popular. Today, we are kicking off, as we said, our Community Foundation for Northern Virginia partnership podcast. And you were chosen because it was mentoring. But what is the CFNOVA grant going to do? And by the way, congratulations on receiving the grant. That is a big deal. What is the grant going to do for Girls on the Run of Northern Virginia?
It's really going to help reduce the financial barrier between girls being able to participate or not being able to participate. So our program does come with a cost, and we never want to say no to somebody. We like to meet families where they're at, meet their needs however we can, and whether that is accommodating our program fee, whether it's providing snacks. We also provide shoes and athletic clothes to ensure that really kids are able to participate fully and not let anything stop them. So this grant, not only will it help fund those things, but because of the money, it'll also free up staff's time to be able to go out and reach more people in our area. I know some people might think that living in Northern Virginia, it is a very wealthy area, but there are still many pockets of need throughout here. And while we serve Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, Loudoun, Prince William, and Manassas, there are plenty of pockets in there that still need help and still need assistance to be able to receive our programming.
Well, as we've talked about running shoes, athletic wear, that's not cheap, and that may not be in somebody's school budget that year. So I just think that's an amazing part of it. And of course, we want all the girls to participate. You do have amazing participation levels, but you can't do it without coaches and without mentors. We hear that from a lot of our nonprofits. They would love to extend their services, but you've got to have the volunteers. So Jaimi just talked to us about coaching is, as we've already said, it's much more than coaching. It's mentoring. It's becoming someone that these young women can look to talk to about things that might be bothering them, or if they're having a great day, they want to share with their coach. And I know some of my friends that join, they're like, I've never been called coach. I love it. I'm Coach Lee, and they like that too. So it's a win-win. But can you share with us why the need for coaches and kind of how you all train? Because as you said, you have specific intentional training.
Yes. Well, so the most important thing to point out about our coaches is that we cannot do the program without our coaches. So we have a staff of 7 people, and we are serving over 4,000 girls a year. And so obviously we can't do that by ourselves. And we can't have our teams if we don't have coaches. So there has to be at least 2 coaches on every team. And then depending on the size of the team, we need to have more. And so it's critically important. It's what makes our program go. So the other key thing to point out is that you do not have to be a runner to be a coach, right?
I can speak to that.
You know, a lot of people are like,
better. I got better.
Yes,
They,
yes.
they inspired me.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people are like, well, I don't run. I can't be that. You don't have to be a runner. Like you said, you just need to have the willingness to be a mentor and listen. And, you know, our curriculum book is laid out for you. You do not have to come up with what my lesson is going to be. You do not have to figure out what you need to say. We give you all of the supplies that are needed for each and every lesson. So it really is sort of like another toolbox that you can use to deliver the lessons.
Yeah.
So we do try to make it easy for people. There's a lot of flexibility with the vast number of teams that we have. There are teams that are meeting before school, after school. We've got community-based teams that are meeting later on in the evening. Sometimes it's the weekend. So there's a ton of options. So we try to make it easy for people to get connected. Now, we've been saying that there's training, and there is training. We try to, again, make that as light as a lift as possible, but it is something that we need to do just to make sure that everybody is on the same page and they are comfortable and familiar with the evidence-based curriculum. So
Important to get the messaging correct.
yes.
But as you said, it's also important, as Sammy said, as you get to know the girls, you get to know, oh, they're not ready for their lesson yet.
Yes.
So you can, there is some leadway, and the training is not labor intensive. And if you have, the good thing is if you do it with some friends, you can co-teach and co-coach.
Exactly.
And that helps
Exactly.
because
Yes.
like you can take one week and they take the other.
And that's really the model that we try to impress upon all of our coaching teams is that, yeah, this is not a burden that you need to take on by yourself. Share the load, right? Divide up the lessons. I'll lead this part, you lead that part, or I'll lead this week, you lead next week, so that it is a shared responsibility and it's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
right? And I think I'm going to say probably 98% of the time when a coach signs up and they have apprehensions on the front end, by the end of the season, they're just, this is the most rewarding experience I've ever had. And most of the lessons are things that we can learn ourselves. Like we can use these ourselves. So it's definitely a win-win scenario. And, again, it's something that's very important, right? Especially right now, today, with the challenges that, all of our kids are facing, but, there are unique challenges that our girls are facing.
Tell me more about that.
So sometimes it's easy just to lump our kids into one group. And I think all of our kiddos today have mental health challenges, right? Just because of, the impact of social media, a variety of things are going on in the world. But there are unique challenges that girls have. Girls in general tend to underestimate their level of confidence, whereas boys tend to overestimate their level of confidence. Studies have shown that girls' confidence level starts to drop at age 9, and it's a more significant drop for girls than it is for boys. And then in society, over time, there's a tendency for boys to get support when it comes to athletic competition. It's something that's sort of expected, not so much for girls. There's more issues with, insecurities about my body and how I look and how I'm changing from the age of 9 to 12. There's a lot of different stressors that our girls have, and our program is designed to specifically deal with the stressors that girls are feeling at this age, early childhood or late childhood into adolescence. So, not to dismiss in any way, shape, or form the challenges that boys may have, but our program is specifically designed to help deal with the challenges, the self-confidence, self-esteem issues that girls might be feeling as a result of just being a girl.
And you talk about building inner strength in these girls. Some of them may think, I can't run a 5K. And you said that you let them set their own goals,
Mhm.
right? And Sammy, you talked a little bit about that with me, that setting their own goals is a part of life as well. We don't always meet our goals, and that's good for young women, girls to also face and deal with as well. So tell me a little bit about the running, because we've talked about the program. Tell me about the running and setting the goals for the 5K.
Yeah, so the goals are really intentional every practice. They it's kind of it gets brought up gradually. So the first few practices, they're not necessarily focusing on how much they're running or their times or anything like that, but they quickly learn that when it comes to doing their laps, which is what we call their designated running time, it's really self-paced. So they're taught about their happy pace, going a pace that feels comfortable to them, a pace that they like. It can be fast sometimes, it can be slower other times. It is totally based on them and how they're feeling. But then they also learn that they can set a goal for every practice. And that goal is how many laps they're going to complete. And their lap area is should be the same every practice so that they can get to know how long it takes them to do one lap. And they can start to set goals saying, well, I want to do 2 laps this time because I did 1 lap last time.
So they are just they're going, and they're basically building to that 5K. So I want to be able to share with everyone what is a 5K if you've never been. It's ingrained in our memory and our family because it was a big deal. Just can you paint a picture what the 5K day looks like? Because this might get a lot of people wanting to be coaches.
It is a big celebration and a big party. The second you walk into our 5K, you can feel the energy. Everyone is happy, everyone is excited, everyone there is just ready to support each other, support themselves as they go out on the course and then come back through the finish line. One of my favorite parts during our 5Ks is once all the kids and the coaches and the buddy runners go out, I like to look back at who's lined up along our finish line. And it's families, it's friends, it's teachers. A lot of principals and teachers come out to support their kids. And we have sign making stations so they can create customized signs with participants' names or just really inspirational messages. And seeing them all just even excited when their kids aren't there, but they're just excited knowing that they're out there accomplishing something and they're going to accomplish their goal by the time they get back.
Some of our best memories are the girls who get to cross that finish line and how they feel when they cross the finish line. Doesn't matter what their time is. They're crossing the finish line. Can you give me one of we're going to ask you kind of to peel back the curtain and show or let our audience know what is so special about Girls on the Run. We've been talking about it, but is it maybe a success story or a story that comes to your mind, Jaimi, that you could share that kind of lets you know why this is such a special program?
Well, my story is actually going to be about me. So the first time I did Girls on a 5K, um, first off, one of my team members told me, be prepared. Like, you're going to cry. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to cry. Like, I'm working here. Like, this is, I was not coaching that season and I didn't feel like, I had any really attachment to anyone. And, yeah, so most of us that are on staff, we don't necessarily get to be in the excitement all the time, but I had an opportunity to stop at my station that I was working, and I went over to the finish line, and sure enough, I mean, within like 30 seconds, I had tears running down my eyes because it was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I helped make this happen, and just to see just the joy and in some cases, the relief, right? Of like, I did this, I did it. And you could just see that so many participants, whether it was the girls or the buddies that were along with them. I mean, there were dads that are running with their girls and they're crying because they're like, you did it,
You're gonna make me start crying.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just the emotion is real, And, it's not really until you're in it that you actually can feel it. And, it's a fantastic experience, a fantastic experience.
Thank you for sharing that because it's emotional. Some of our best memories are that the young women gave themselves nicknames and they would live up to their nicknames. One young woman, she was lightning and there was star power. There was, tenacious and success, all of these things that they gave themselves. And they saw themselves in a new light in some ways. And it was just so fun. And for us, I kept coaching because it was just so much fun to see. And you do get to learn a lot about the young women. They learn a lot about themselves. Sammy, you're a coach. Do you want to share with us one of your success stories?
I don't know if I could pick just one.
I know, that's hard.
Yeah.
I know.
There have been so many good memories from it, but similar to Jaimi, just a little different because I was coaching. But my first season coaching, I was not working at Girls on the Run, so I did get to complete the 5K with my team. And there was a group of us that kind of stuck together throughout the whole thing. And even while we were going through the 5K, there was a lot of, I don't know if I can do this. I think I need to stop. I need to stop and walk. And so we would slow our pace. We would walk, whatever they needed. But really we were finding ways to keep them motivated to keep pushing on just a little longer. It was, we'll just run to that stop sign, run to the street light, just a little further. And when you round the corner and they see the finish line, and suddenly they have all the energy in the world, and it is a full-on sprint to the finish line. And just watching them run across the finish line with the biggest smiles on their face, and then turning around to see their teammates behind them and like clapping them across the finish line. Like, that's what it's all about. It's just watching them cheer for each other.
It is building up a community and just having that inner strength and confidence. It is a wonderful thing. It really is. Can't say enough about it. And I just thank you all for all you do. As you said, there's not that many of you that put all of this together. So thank you for your hard work and effort. And we are so excited for you all that you are a community foundation for Northern Virginia grantee, and that we just hope that you just have an amazing season. Lots of seasons ahead.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for allowing us to spotlight our program. And thank you to the Community Foundation for giving us a grant that is very much needed and very much appreciated.
This time goes by so fast, so that's all the time we have. But we encourage people, you've got a wonderful website, so be sure to go on our website, we'regood.net. We're going to link that website. And we just hope that if you heard something today that you loved, we hope you share it. There's so much good going on around us, and we appreciate Girls on the Run for all they do. As we like to say, we're good and you're good, and we can all make a difference.